Yo, what is good guys, back here with another YouTube video, and in case you cannot tell by the title below, this video will be a video where I share my personal top 5 favorite WrestleManias of all the time. Before I share my top 5, would love to know what is on your list down in the comments below. While you are down there, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, turn on post notification. Of course, you don't have to if you don't want to, but it would mean a lot to myself if you did. And all of the ones on my personal list are from WrestleMania 20 onwards, because WrestleMania 20 was the first one that I was an actual fan for, like watching actively. Week in, week out. But yeah, like I said earlier, let me know what your top 5 are down in the comments below. Would love to know what yours are, and if you're looking forward to WrestleMania 40 in a little bit, again, would love to know which matches you're looking forward to down in the comments below. Enough jibber jabber, let's get going. Number 5 on my list is the oldest one to crack my top 5, WrestleMania 23. It was in Detroit, which isn't too terribly far away from where I grew up. A couple of hours drive and whatnot. And this one has to do mostly with 3 matches kind of deal. First match on the main card, Money in the Bank ladder match. You can never really go wrong with the Money in the Bank match. At a WrestleMania, it had Mr. Kennedy winning. Granted, there could have been a different winner. Other people in the match include Punk, Orton, Finlay, Matt Hardy, King Booker, Jeff Hardy, and Edge kind of deal. Pretty much, maybe not, a good chunk of those would have been, hindsight being 2020, a better option. Then you had my personal favorite match of the night, Undertaker defeating Batista to win the World Heavyweight Championship. Another match, I don't want to say I forgot was on this list, but Bobby Lashley defeating Umaga, hair versus hair match kind of deal. It wasn't necessarily the biggest match, but when it came to the media surrounding WrestleMania, that was the match that people wanted to look forward to, because it involved either Mr. McMahon or Donald Trump getting their head shaved. And then you had the main event, John Cena versus Shawn Michaels and whatnot. Another really good match. Yeah, it might not be my favorite match from the night, but you can't really go wrong with that main event, in my opinion, and whatnot. My number 4 is WrestleMania 31. You had on the main card 7 matches one night, and all of them got a good chunk of time when it came to the main card. Shortest match was like 6.5 minutes. Kind of deal. Longest one was 16 minutes 43 seconds and whatnot. And a big reason why, or 2 big reasons why this one is one of my favorites, is because there was a reasonably small card, 7 matches, multiple people in several of them kind of deal. Easy to sit through whether you're watching it live or watching it back. And honestly, the closing moments, Seth Rollins, who's one of my guys, especially at that time, and whatnot, cashing in the Money in the Bank briefcase, first time in WrestleMania history to do so, and walked out as the main event winner, and whatnot, with the WWE Championship. Not gonna lie, when I seen that, might have shed a tear or two. And then you have like the really good RKO from earlier in the night, Randy Orton to Seth Rollins and whatnot. And this one, big reason why it's one of my favorites, is more so to do with how low the bar was for myself expectation wise, and it over delivered. Easy to sit through. There weren't really any super bad, terrible, non-Mania worthy matches and whatnot. Yeah, there could have been some that would have been a better fit for a B-level pay-per-view, but still a good Mania for myself personally overall. Number 3 is more of a sentimental-esque kind of reasoning and whatnot. WrestleMania 28 kind of deal. Another, for myself personally, I was 18 years old. I was a smart mark kind of deal, or a super fan, the know-it-all fan, whatever terminology you would want to use during this time period. But big reason why it is on my list is because of favorite manias, surprising moments, like the first match on the main card. Sheamus, who was one of my guys, defeating Daniel Bryan, which some people expected it, some people not, but it was 18 seconds kind of deal, by far the shortest match on the main card. I was freaking out, and reason why I was sentimental is because I went to a movie theater half hour south of where I live just to make sure that I was able to watch this live, and it ended up being a couple of bucks cheaper, maybe like 15-20 bucks cheaper watching it at a movie theater than watching it at home. And whatnot. You had one of my personal favorite WrestleMania matches of all time, Undertaker Triple H, Hell in a Cell, and then the I don't want to say the biggest match, but definitely the biggest, like, my version of Hogan versus Rock was at this Mania. Rock versus Cena kind of deal. The match, again, wasn't necessarily the best. It wasn't an instant classic. It wasn't or isn't a classic looking back at it and whatnot, but it's one of those, like, man, the vibe of the crowd in Miami and the vibe at a random movie theater in Barrie, Ontario, however many kilometers north of the venue, is just something else kind of deal, which is another reason why it's on my list, coming in at number 3 to boot. Number 2 on my list, I think I've said it before on Twitter randomly years ago, probably as soon as my number 1 ended, but WrestleMania 30, second favorite of all time. It has to do more so with the first match on the main card along with the main event, why it's one of my favorites, along with a shocking moment kind of in between. But first match on the main card, Daniel Bryan versus Triple H, the biggest reason, or the biggest match I was looking forward to. No matter who won, it was the last Mania as of right now that involved the Shield all in one match kind of deal, when they defeated Kane and the New Age Outlaws in a sub 3-minute match. You also had one of the, definitely the most shocking moment in my opinion, Brock Lesnar defeating The Undertaker to make Taker, what was it, like 21-1? 20-0 at that, 20-0 at that time. Then the main event, where you had Daniel Bryan defeating Batista and Randy Orton to become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion and whatnot. And just like watching that, whether it was back as a 20-year-old young adult or a kid, depending on which way you want to look at it, or watching it now a decade later, which is kind of, jeez, where does time go kind of deal. It brings a, like, kind of tear to my eye whenever I watch specifically the two Daniel Bryan matches and whatnot. But yeah, WrestleMania 30 is my second favorite Mania of all time. And number 1 by a margin, a relatively slight margin, the newest WrestleMania on my list, not from last year, but the year before, both WrestleMania 38 Night 1 and Night 2, combining both matches had, or both shows had, or Night 1 had 7 matches, Night 2 had 9 matches, for a combination of 16 matches over 2 nights, which is definitely easier to sit through than several Manias before that kind of deal, like 32 to 37 kind of deal and whatnot. I'm not saying that 38 was the best Mania from a bell to bell aspect, but from Night 1 you had Cody Rhodes, his first match within WWE in roughly 6 years, defeating Seth frickin' Rollins, my personal favorite match from either night. Stone Cold Steve Austin's first match since WrestleMania 19, when he wrestled in the main event against Kevin freaking Owens kind of deal and whatnot. Then you had probably the funnest, not the best, but the funnest match from either night, happening on night 2. Johnny Knoxville defeating Sami Zayn. Man, what a wild ride Sami Zayn has been on. Then you had one of my dream matches, Edge versus AJ Styles. Granted, that did not necessarily live up to expectation, but it's still cool to see that. Pat McAfee being Pat McAfee, having 2 matches back to back, totaling what, like 11 minutes in between, maybe not 11, 12, 13 minutes in between the two, defeating Austin Theory and then losing to Vince McMahon. Then, granted, the main event of night 2 between Reigns and Lesnar, not necessarily the best, but it's probably my second favorite one-on-one match that they had against each other. But yeah, it's going to be relatively hard to top WrestleMania 38 for myself personally. First time in a several years that I actually had fun genuinely all the way through watching WrestleMania was 38. 40 is going to be relatively hard to top that or crack into my top 5. Definitely harder cracking into my top 3 and whatnot. But either way, would again love to know what is on your list down in the comments below. While you are down there, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, turn on post notification. Of course, you don't have to if you don't want to, but it would mean a lot to myself if you did. More importantly than any of that, hope you guys are doing okay mentally, emotionally, and physically.
The world that we tend to make up is nothing but a fantasy until you wake up. I feel like I'm just lying to myself, yeah. Cause I just crossed the line like I'm playing offside. Do it how I want and I'ma do it till I die. Feel like I'm just lying to myself, but it's